Have you ever felt exhausted from trying to control everything? Work, other people, the future, only to watch it all get messier? One wrong word, one small incident, and your mind collapses. You crave peace, but your head is a nonstop storm. The truth is, you can't control this world, and the more you try, the more you lose yourself. Yet there is a way out, a philosophy that has helped people keep their reason for over 2,000 years. Stoicism. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the secret to finding true calm, even in chaos. If you're tired of trying to control everything and failing, comment 1. This lesson is for you. Have you ever wondered why you feel tense even when everything seems fine? Why you worry about what hasn't happened yet, fear what's out of reach, and feel disappointed when life doesn't follow your plan? The truth is, most human pain doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from the illusion that we can control everything. We were taught, try hard and things will go your way. Real life doesn't work like that. You can work yourself to the bone and still lose your job. You can love someone with all you have and they still leave. You can prepare perfectly for a project and one small variable brings it down. The problem isn't your effort, it's that you're trying to control what never belonged to you. Epictetus said, "Some things are in our control and some are not." It sounds obvious, but if you truly grasp it, your life changes. Between those two groups, what we can and cannot control, lies the border of freedom. On one side is peace, on the other is suffering. Imagine you're an archer. You can train your skill, steady your breath, focus on the target, and release your best shot. But once the arrow leaves your hand, the wind may shift, the target may move, and the result is no longer yours. If you keep suffering over why the arrow missed, you're torturing yourself with what you can't control. Your job is to shoot well. The rest, let life decide. Modern society makes us forget that. We're told, own your future, control other people's emotions, manage your image. We're fed the belief that happiness depends on holding the reins. But the harder we try, the more that need to control enslaves us. You check email every 10 minutes, afraid to miss a chance. You reread messages to decode what they really meant. You schedule life down to the hour, and a tiny change ruins your mood. You want people to understand you. You want fairness. You want expected results. But the world wasn't built to revolve around you. It runs on its own rules, not your feelings, wishes, or worries. The more you control, the more you burn out. The more you fear losing, the more you lose. Try to change people, and they pull away. Try to control outcomes, and you forget the value of the process. Try to control the future, and you lose the present. In the end, you become a slave to your need for control. Stoicism doesn't tell you to give up. It teaches you to distinguish clearly. You can control your attitude, your response, your actions, but not outcomes, not other people, not what's beyond reach. Once you see this, you realize life was never against you. You were pushing against its nature. You can't control the weather, but you can choose how you face the rain. You can't control what others say, but you can choose silence over a rash reaction. You can't stop someone from hurting you, but you can choose not to let them destroy you. The moment you pause and respond consciously, rather than react automatically, you take back your life. Stoics see peace as the result of clarity. They don't chase outer power, they build inner power, something no one can take. Marcus Aurelius, Rome's most powerful man, wrote, "If it's not up to me, it cannot truly harm me." He ruled millions, yet knew the only thing he truly owned was his mind. We, the people of the 21st century, get trapped in an endless loop. Control, disappointment, anxiety, more control. We place our happiness in others' hands, a compliment, a number, a result. When it disappears, we panic. But think about it. If your happiness depends on what's out of reach, you will never be happy. If your peace comes from within, from accepting limits, doing your part well, and letting go of the rest, then no one can steal it. Acceptance isn't weakness. It's the strength of wisdom. It's not surrender. It's freedom. When you stop trying to change the unchangeable, you lose nothing. You free yourself from a useless burden. How many sleepless nights over a future that hasn't arrived? How many bursts of anger because someone didn't act as you hoped? How many disappointments when results fell short, even after your best effort? In those moments, you didn't lose to life. You lost peace by fighting what can't be won. When you stop trying to control the world, you finally have time to control yourself. When you stop blaming the situation, you find confidence in action. When you learn to let go, you realize peace was always inside, just hidden by the noise of fear and control. Stoicism doesn't promise an easy life. It teaches you to walk through storms without breaking. Start now. When something upsets you, ask, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, let go and smile. You'll feel the difference in days when your mind is no longer stretched thin by the unchangeable. Life doesn't need your control. It needs your presence, clarity, and wise response. When you master yourself, the chaos around you shrinks. You stop fearing failure because you know failure is part of a game whose outcome you don't control. You stop fearing loss because everything comes and goes by nature. You stop fearing the future because you've learned to stand firm in the present. If you're tired of controlling everything without finding peace, remember, the world doesn't need your control. It needs your acceptance. Peace doesn't come from controlling all things, but from knowing what's in your hands and what's not. So ask yourself, will you keep clinging or start letting go to live freer? If you choose peace, comment 1. If you still believe you can control it all, comment 0. Then try living the next week that way and let life answer you. At some point, everyone faces that raw moment of powerlessness. Everything you've tried to hold slips away. Your plans fall like dominoes, and you realize the only thing you can control is the breath racing in your chest. It's painful, but honest. The moment you face the truth, you are not all-powerful. We grow up believing, work hard and you'll succeed. Be kind and you'll be loved. Do right and you'll be recognized. We carry the innocent belief that life is fair and effort is always rewarded. Then we grow up. You work yourself weary and get overlooked. You love with everything and they leave without a word. You sacrifice, stay silent, endure, hoping to be understood, and you aren't. You're left with yourself, tired, drained, and full of questions with no answers. Then you see it. You never really controlled anything at all. You lived inside a thin shell of control, an illusion to feel safe in a chaotic world. We think we're steering the ship, but we're only gripping the wheel in a storm we can't stop. Some things are in our power, some are not, said Epictetus. Obvious, yet when it sinks in, it hits the root of life. Suffering begins when we try to control the uncontrollable. We want to be loved, want fairness, want outcomes to match our hopes. But the world doesn't run on human feelings. It runs on its own nature, neutral, unmoved by our small desires. Look at yourself. How often did you blame yourself for results beyond your power, even after doing all you could? How often did you feel betrayed or misunderstood? Not because of what others did, but because you believed they never would. How often did you try to control what others think of you, only to learn you can't? Where did I go wrong, you asked? Sometimes no one did. Life never promised to follow your script. Stoicism doesn't teach resignation. It draws the line between effort and outcome. You can control your actions, not the consequences. Your thoughts, not others' reactions. Your attitude, not the weather, luck, or sudden turns of fate. Try to control both action and outcome. You'll burn out. Focus only on your part. You'll find peace. Like an archer, he trains, breathes evenly, aims well, and releases a perfect shot. Once the arrow leaves, it's no longer his. Wind, distance, motion, beyond control. If he suffers because it missed, he suffers over what's no longer his. Life is the same. Each of us releases our own arrows, a confession of love, a project, a dream. We give our all, then we must let go. Once the arrow flies, we wait and accept. The harsh truth, you can't stop the wind, command clear skies, or make people fair. Yet inside that helplessness is a strange freedom. Freedom from expectations, anxiety, and the illusions that caged us. Today's world convinces us we can control everything. Tech lets us fine-tune time, health, emotions, information, image. We plan, measure, optimize, but the more control we chase, the more we lose what matters, the natural ease of the soul. We become addicts of control, living by fear instead of life. When things drift, we panic. When people don't meet expectations, we rage. When the future shifts, we collapse. We lock ourselves in a cage of our own expectations. The world isn't cruel, it's neutral. The sun rises and sets, seasons turn, people arrive and go. Pain isn't in reality, it's in our resistance to it. Stoics know you can't defeat the world, only yourself. Those who govern themselves no longer need to govern others. Those who accept their limits no longer fear change. There is a kind of peace that comes only when you accept that you don't need to control. Stop straining to adjust everything, and life starts flowing again. Stop forcing people to understand you, and you realize no one owes that to anyone. Stop forcing yourself to be perfect, and you learn it's our imperfections that make us real. We're used to fighting, with circumstances, with others, with ourselves. But you can't live and fight forever. Some battles aren't meant to be won, only released. Some wounds aren't meant to be fixed, only accepted. Some pains aren't meant to be avoided, only walked through. Stoics don't run from pain. They face it. Pain is training. Steel hardens in fire. The soul steadies in adversity. When you stop fearing pain, you stop needing control. Control is a defense mechanism, keeping things close so we won't get hurt. But life includes hurt. Avoiding it, you also avoid growth. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's wisdom. When you know some things must come and must go, you stop tugging. When loss is part of the rules, you stop clinging. When everything is temporary, you cherish instead of possess. Some days you'll feel lost, like the world has turned its back. That's not the end, it's an invitation. Turn inward. Stop seeking outer control. Build inner control. Stop demanding others change. Begin changing yourself. When you master your inner world, the outer world can't shake you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's not mine, it cannot wound me." An emperor in war and betrayal could say this, not from coldness, but from clarity. Peace doesn't come from power, it comes from self-command. The king who can't rule his emotions is still a slave. The person with nothing who rules the mind is emperor of their life. When you accept limits, you are no longer limited. When you know you can't control everything, you begin to live freely. This freedom isn't loud. It's quiet, deep, mountain strong. It's a peace nothing outside can buy. What do I do when everything collapses? A Stoic answers, do your part, then let it go. Don't try to rescue the past. Don't grip what's dissolving. Keep yourself and continue. The only thing you control is your next step. Freedom begins when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? Change the question, change your life. You stop being a victim and become a student. You stop being dragged by emotion and start guiding it. Between letting go and becoming calm, you wake up. Once you truly grasp that you can't control the world, you stop trying to win against it. You no longer need to prove, to be right, to chase. You grow still, like a lake after a storm. In that stillness, you finally hear the voice you've missed, your own. It tells you, you don't need to control, you need to be present. You don't need perfection, you need awareness. The world doesn't have to stop, you just need to know where you stand. It may take years to live this lesson, but once you do, you'll see. Life was never your enemy. It's a river, and your task is to learn to swim. The water may be cold or swift or pull you along, but when you stop fighting, you realize the current can also carry you. Stoics don't seek happiness in control, but in acceptance. Not strength and domination, but in understanding. Not peace and avoidance, but in staying through adversity and still breathing. That's not indifference. It's the steadiness of a soul that has stopped being afraid. The world will stay noisy. People will do what they do. Results won't always be fair. But once you see your limits, you'll smile. Not because you control everything, but because you no longer need to. Then you enter the next part of the journey, where peace is no longer a concept but an experience. You don't try to act stoic, you naturally live as one. Because you understand, peace doesn't come when the world goes quiet, but when your mind is calm enough to hear the noise without fear, where the logic of letting go meets the ease of inner calm. From realizing you can't control the world to actually living in it with a steady heart, that's no longer theory. It's a state of being. Chaos continues, but you no longer sway. And that may be the only victory we truly need. Victory over ourselves. Only after enough sleepless nights do we grasp the value of a peaceful mind. The world keeps spinning and shouting, and all you want is silence. Not from despair, but to stop fighting. You're tired. Tired of control, tired of loss, tired of believing peace must be conquered. Peace was never outside. It has always been in you. You just forgot the way back. Everything we chase, money, fame, approval, are shapes of fear. Fear of being less, left behind, not enough. We call it drive, but often it's refined insecurity. You overwork not for passion, but to avoid invisibility. You control others not for their happiness, but to avoid rejection. You chase perfect outcomes not for excellence, but to avoid the sting of failure. Stoicism says fear looks large until you face it. When you stop and look straight at it, it dissolves, not because you defeated it, but because you understood it's a product of the mind. Darkness cannot exist when you switch on the light. Fear cannot rule when you dare to see it. Won't letting go make me weak? Won't the world crush me? No. Only when you release the need to control do you become truly strong. Strength isn't always winning. It's standing after losing. You can't command the wind, but you can keep the boat upright. You can't avoid the rain, but you can learn to walk through it without freezing your heart. Most people live in constant fight mode, reacting, resisting, controlling. One stray comment triggers anger. One small change triggers panic. They call it living. It's not. It's being dragged by fear and attachment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be calm. You see more clearly when the water in you is still." When your mind clears, the world brightens. When emotion stops steering, you see the truth of things. When you stop demanding perfection, you notice the beauty of imperfection. To reach that stillness, you must accept. Acceptance isn't defeat. It's admitting some things are beyond you and choosing to put your energy where it matters, yourself. Think of your storms: career failure, betrayal, collapse. At first you resist, fix, save, grip. The harder you grip, the more you lose. Then exhausted, you let go. Strangely, relief appears, not because life returned to normal, but because you stopped resisting the inevitable. That's where freedom begins. Freedom isn't doing anything you want. It's not being dragged by anything, not by anger, fear, or failure. It's standing in chaos with clarity. Epictetus said, "No one can harm you unless you allow it." Not denial, declaration of self-rule. The world can take your job, love, or reputation, but not your response. When you see that, you become untouchable, not superhuman, but sovereign. You might be insulted, choose silence. Betrayed, choose forgiveness. Lose everything, choose not to lose yourself. In that choice, you find what the whole world is chasing: peace. Stoicism isn't cold. It's a warm art of living. Everything carries a lesson. Every pain is a teacher. Every loss a reminder. Every failure a chance to train the soul. See life this way, and everything has its place, even what hurts most. One day you'll look back and smile, not because life became perfect, but because you learned to walk through imperfection without trembling. What once broke you made you wiser. What once made you cry taught you to love deeper. Nothing is truly lost. It transforms to shape a stronger you. Peace doesn't come when the world stops hurting you. It comes when you stop responding the old way. Someday when someone wounds you, you'll smile, not from weakness, but wisdom. Anger changes nothing. It only burns you first. Someday when life takes what you love, you won't despair. You'll remember everything is temporary and meaning lives in how fully you lived, loved, and gave. Someday when plans fail, you won't fear. You'll know you did your best. That's the moment you stop being ruled by the world and start ruling your inner world. That's a true Stoic, not emotionless, but not ruled by emotion. The world will never be quiet. News, social media, work, people, waves on waves. You don't have to disappear to find peace. You only need to stand still in the waves. When you're calm enough, the world shrinks. When you're clear enough, chaos can't touch you. Then you'll see what you've sought: peace, happiness, freedom, was never far. It's here, in every breath, every moment, in you. To see it, you must let go. Stop. Be still. If you're still watching, maybe you're tired of chasing what can't be controlled. Maybe you've tried to please the world and found it's never enough. Maybe you want a different way. Lighter, deeper, truer. This is your invitation. Start today. Sit down, take a deep breath, and ask one simple question. Is this within my control? If yes, act. If not, release it. Let things flow like water. Let life reorder itself. You do your part well. You'll be amazed. When you release what you can't hold, you create space for what truly belongs. When you stop forcing the world, you begin to understand it. When you stop fearing, you begin to be free. Freedom isn't doing everything. It's not needing to do everything to feel at peace. Peace isn't the absence of storms. It's knowing you stand firm in the storm. Happiness isn't having it all. It's feeling enough without it all. Remember, the world can flip. People can change. Plans can collapse. But one thing stays in your hands: yourself. Your mind is your final refuge, a fortress no one enters unless you open the gate. If you're tired today, stop straining, soften. Allow yourself to be human, to be wrong, to not know the future. Trust that even in uncertainty, you can be calm. Peace doesn't come from having every answer. It comes from accepting you don't need them all. When this video ends, don't just understand Stoicism, feel it. Stoicism isn't for reading, it's for living. Live as a Stoic, not cold but clear, not indifferent but awake, not fearful but at ease. If you've hurt, been disappointed, fallen, but still want to find peace within yourself, comment 1. If you still believe you can control everything, comment 0. Then look at your life a year from now and see what it has taught you. In the end, you'll learn happiness doesn't come when you control everything. It comes when you no longer need to. In the end, life is a test of how we face what we cannot control. No one escapes loss, disappointment, or pain. Some collapse, others grow. The difference isn't the event, it's the attitude. When you can't change the world, you can change how you walk through it. When you can't control outcomes, you can control your perspective. That's the first step to freedom. This world was never ours to own. We're given a place to stand, a slice of time, and a few fellow travelers. Everything changes: work, love, health, beliefs. What remains is the quality of our spirit as we meet them. You can live in a palace and tremble inside, or in a small room and feel at peace. You can have everything, yet if your mind must control, you are poor. Learn to let go, and you are rich beyond measure. Stoics call this inner freedom, the freedom no one can take, even if you're chained, even if the world is against you. Epictetus was a slave, yet said, "No one can imprison my mind unless I allow it." Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote, "What I truly possess is my own mind." Opposite lives, one truth. Freedom is not in circumstances. It is in understanding. Once you see this, the world looks different. You stop asking, "Why is this happening?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Each failure becomes a class. Each wound, a mirror. Each fear, a chance to build courage. Life stops being a string of injustices. It becomes a subtle lesson guiding you back to yourself. Life never asked you to control it. It asked you to experience it. You weren't born to bend the world to your will, but to move in harmony with it. When you stop trying to win at life, you begin to understand it. And when you understand, you no longer need to win. You see all is temporary, all flows, and all has its place. You may lose today and still gain clarity that success could never give. Stoicism won't make you numb. It makes you feel more deeply without drowning. You still love, but with freedom. You still hurt, but with understanding. You still strive, but without dependence on results. We weren't born to control the world, but to live in it without being swept away. Then life grows lighter. You stop bracing against change. You flow with it, like a river past stones, without losing the nature of water. Others stop being enemies. You see they're wrestling with fears like yours. Hardship stops being a sentence. It becomes a strict teacher making you strong. Seen with awake eyes, everything softens. After enough storms, you realize the scary part isn't losing, it's never letting go. Control ties you up. Release sets you free. Life tests us by taking what we cling to teach us that true happiness isn't owning, but fully living each moment. You can sit in a rainy afternoon with nothing in your hands, and if your mind is calm, you have everything. You can stand in a loud city, and if you're quiet inside, no noise can shake you. You can be misunderstood by the world, and if you understand yourself, no one can break you. That is the power of self-mastery, quiet, resilient, unshakable. Looking back at your mistakes, wounds, and failed attempts at control, you stop regretting. They forged who you are now, calmer, clearer, truer. Not a person trying to master the world, but a person mastering themselves. Not a seeker of peace, but a dweller in peace. Life, in the end, isn't a story of power, but of understanding. Not who is stronger, but who is wiser. Not who runs faster, but who knows when to stop. Sometimes stopping isn't retreat. It's the only way to move forward with clarity. Happiness doesn't come from the world obeying you. It comes when your mind no longer needs it to. That's maturity, knowing we're small before the universe and feeling no threat in that, knowing we can't control and feeling no fear. One day you'll see the things you chased, approval, praise, perfection, vanish like smoke. The moments you lived honestly, even in silence, remain. You'll stop asking, how do I control? And start asking, how do I live true? In that question, you find every answer. Because in the end, life doesn't ask you to win, it asks you to wake up. Not to always be right, but to be honest with yourself. Not to control, but to be present, whole, and grateful. If Stoicism leaves you with one thing, let it be this. You can't change the wind, but you can always set your sail, and that is enough for a lifetime. In the end, the greatest lesson isn't how to control the world, it's how to control yourself. When you know the line between what you can and cannot hold, life's storms can't sweep you away. You learn to stay calm in failure, grateful in loss, and strong even when your hands are empty. Peace doesn't come from ease. It comes from a mind ready to receive whatever comes. If this resonates, if you believe a calm mind can change your life, subscribe so we can keep sharing deeper lessons on awareness, stoic living, and the lifelong journey of self-mastery.